Right. Now that you are a color wheel expert, you know all 12 colors on the color wheel, you know all three families, you are ready to complete the final learning target on our list. You have learned the primary, secondary, and intermediate colors. You have learned how to make all of those colors on the color wheel, and now it's time to put that knowledge into a piece of artwork. You will create a painting using all 12 colors on the color wheel. The painting that we're going to do is going to look something like this. We've talked about the bottles already. You should have those prepared by now. And I'm going to show you how to begin the very first step. And this step is drawing the bottles on the paper. This step of the project is where we are going to be creating the bottles. I told you a while back that you would be needing 7 bottles, and you can see I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You, however, were only in charge of making 4. So you will need to locate your 4 bottles, and you will also need to pick up a piece of white paper from underneath the supply table in a box. Underneath in that box, you will also find this tool. This is called a Horizon Guide tool, and this is just a measuring thing. We're going to trace this, and it's going to be a guide for the bottoms of our bottles. First, as usual, take a pencil and write your name on the back of that paper. Then you will need to use this Horizon Guide tool to create a horizon line. Now, even though this picture is not an outside picture where we would normally have the horizon line where the sky meets the earth, we do still need to have a horizon. And this is just going to show where the wall meets the table. So basically this line that we're going to trace is the edge of the table. You can see what I did here. I'm taking this cardboard and I'm lining it up exactly with the bottom edge of my white paper. And then very lightly we're going to trace the top edge of the cardboard. I say very lightly because this line later will have to be erased. It does not show up in the final product here after I do my tracing with marker. It's not there. After the horizon is on there, now you're ready to start tracing your bottles. I recommend that you start in the middle. So you'll select your first bottle, whatever you choose is up to you, and you will place it in the middle of your paper. Now the reason we have to have that horizon line is so that none of our bottles later look like they're hovering in midair. Where the bottom of the bottle is has to be below the horizon line. Let's take a look at a shorter bottle. This looks fine. It's sitting on the table. Above the horizon line, it is floating in the air. This is the wall. This is the table. It's not touching anything, so this can't be there. It won't make sense. That's why that horizon line is important. So you can put the bottom of your bottle anywhere you want to under the horizon line. I'm going to put this right in the middle, and I'm going to be very careful as I trace around this paper. So there I have bottle number 1. Now, after we trace each bottle, we are going to add a little bit of detail. We're going to add a little bit of an opening at the top, and we're going to show a little detail at the bottom. You will do this for every bottle right after you trace it. It's quite simple. All I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very narrow oval at the top and at the bottom. The top of your bottle that you traced will be the top of your oval, so actually you're only drawing half of an oval. And the same is true for the bottom. The bottom edge of your bottle will be the bottom of your oval, so you're only really drawing the top. This gives our bottles a little bit more reality and a little bit more depth. It almost gives the illusion of it being a little bit 3D. Now it's time to move on to my next bottle. So you'll choose from your four, whichever one you want to be next. It does not matter if you draw this bottle on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side. That's completely up to you. What does matter is that you are going to overlap this bottle onto the one that's already there. Now remember, we keep the bottom edge of our bottle somewhere below that horizon line. I can make it all the way at the bottom. It looks like it's closer to me. I can put it all the way towards the horizon line. It looks like it's farther back on the table. Anywhere under the horizon line is fine. Now watch me push this on top of the first bottle to overlap it. I just do that. I just want to overlap a little. I don't want to overlap a lot because I know I'm going to have another bottle overlapping on this side, so I want to save room. So I'm just going to push this guy about right here, and I'm going to trace carefully. And now it's time for me to add my details. I actually have my details showing on my tracer that I made, so I just have to draw one little line up there. And then remember, I need a skinny oval on the bottom of my bottle. Do make sure that your ovals are very skinny, because if they're round or more like a circle, it's going to make your bottles look a little awkward and not as realistic. Moving on to the third bottle. I think I will put this one over here. Now again, you can trace it anywhere you want to as long as it's overlapping one of these bottles. I can do this side or this side. Completely your decision. I like how it looks right about here. Again, I'm going to add my detail at the top and at the bottom. All right, I have one more of my own bottles, and that's this one right here. And I think I will put this one over here on this side. Remember, not above the horizon line. We're not a magician making some bottles levitate. We want this on the table. And now my details. Now at this point, I have used all four of the bottles that I made, and I need 3 more. So what you will do when you are ready, when you're at this point, you will take your bottles to the donation box. Underneath the supply table, you will find a box. It's just like this, and you will place your bottles in. You are done with them. And then you will find 3 more bottles that you like that someone else has already donated. So since I'm the first one, I have these 3 that I made just for this. And I will leave my bottles in there. You can use mine if you want. I'm going to just keep going. Same process. Trace the bottle, add the details, and I'm going to do all 3 of these. One thing that you want to be careful about is, I told you to overlap a little, and if you overlap too much, you might actually create a third overlapped area. So for example, this would be fine. I have this bottle showing somewhere all the way top to bottom. But if I overlap too far, I'm actually overlapping both of these bottles. And if I do that, it's going to cause some complications when it comes time to paint. So you want to make sure that as you are overlapping, you're only overlapping one bottle. Leave a little bit of space in between, the two overlapped areas. And when you get to your 7th bottle, you probably just have room for one more. All right, now I'm going to double check and make sure I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And once you have all 7 bottles done, and each one has their top and bottom details, then it is time to erase that horizon line. It needs to be completely gone, so do a good job. Okay, no horizon line left. The following step is just outlining. You will get a Sharpie, a fat Sharpie, from the Sharpie box, which is located up beside my drawing board. And your job is just going to be to outline every single pencil mark, including the details. And go slow, and stay on the line, and do your best. I know it will feel weird, but you will overlap your lines where the bottles overlap. Normally, I would say, if something is behind something else, then it shouldn't be showing. But in this case, we want every line to be showing. So trace them all. All right, when your outlining is complete, you know what comes next. Once you trace it, you must then erase it. Look carefully underneath each black line and erase any pencil marks that are still showing through. When that step is finished, then you are ready to go on to the next video, which is going to be adding paints to this paper.